Hello everybody and welcome back to Performance on Wheels. This is our 2022 BMW M240i and today we are going to recapture 1 year of ownership.
Yeah, I bought this car in Arizona approximately 1 year ago. We put 10,000 miles on the G42, the transition over from the F chassis to the G chassis. The 2 Series is a couple years behind the 3 and the 4 Series, but it made it to the G platform, right?
Yep, here we are. So in today's video, we are going to recapture 1 entire year of ownership by going over all of the mechanical issues that we have encountered, how the B58 has held up, and overall everything that is cool about the iDrive in this thing, everything that's cool about driving it on a day-to-day basis. We're going to recapture that entire full year, so let's get into it.
The only modification we did to the car is a Dynon cold air intake. Aftermarket parts are still kind of slow to market. There are some expensive options out there. Not too many affordable options on the G42 platform as of yet. Everything is expensive. The exhaust systems that are out here in April of 23 are expensive. The downpipes are expensive. The air intakes are expensive, and a tune doesn't necessarily exist. There are a couple piggyback options, but here today that ECU is still locked.
But that's not really a surprise considering my 2011 335i exhaust systems are over $1,000. Downpipes are, well, you want catted, they're over $1,000, so that's never going to change. It's a BMW, unfortunately.
When I originally bought this M240i, it was the intention of this car to be a toy. I was definitely intrigued at the initial videos that came out of this car, and this was in the heat of COVID, so finding this car was an extreme challenge, and finding one at MSRP that a dealer had that wasn't already ordered was even a bigger challenge. So from Minneapolis down to Phoenix, I went after about a 6-month search to find an M240i, and I was completely open to the spec that I got. I actually wanted a very low spec, meaning I didn't want options, because on the resale side, it's always hard to recoup the money for the options. I ended up finding one that was fairly loaded, close to a $57,000 MSRP is this M240i, and I'm actually quite happy that I got the options that I got. The red seats are amazing. The heads-up display I've really enjoyed. I've actually had a lot of fun too with the adaptive, or I shouldn't say fun, but just genuinely appreciate the adaptive headlights, and the Harman Kardon sound system is one of the best on the market.
Yep,
let's be honest.
Now, over the course of the last couple of years, we have had many new vehicles in the garage. None of them have gone without issues. How's this one held up?
So I will talk about the issues that this M240 has encountered in just a minute, so stay tuned on that. But when we talk about overall wear of the car, I'm extremely pleased. I have to say, I was trying to observe some other ones that were hitting the used market, and I was noticing some seat puckering where the leather just kind of starts to get loose. I haven't experienced that at all. 10,000 miles of in and out of the seat. I do try to be cautious that I'm not putting all my weight into the bolster and stuff like that. I try to do that with all my cars, but my seats look brand new still, literally brand new.
They look really good.
There's not a scratch, a stain, any sort of deformation of the leather. So that $1,400 red leather was well worth it. It looks really good. As far as the wear on my steering wheel or any of the buttons, everything looks brand new.
Yeah, it does look brand new. It looks like a brand new car.
The car looks brand new. The one thing that I would comment on, only because it seemed I was getting rock chips extremely easy, is I would question the quality of the paint, and that could just, total opinion there. I don't have any backing. I didn't go around and measure the thickness of the paint, but knowing that it's coming out of a new factory down in Mexico, I question if maybe they forgot to hold down the trigger on the old paint gun a little long enough.
Yeah.
Bad English.
I don't think that's how that works anymore. So you're gonna end up telling us about these issues that you've had yet?
I absolutely will, yes, I will. I'll get there in a moment, but let me go and tell you about the performance of the car, right?
Okay.
So I will fully admit my first initial reactions of the car, I didn't get to experience it right away when I bought it, because I did honor the 1,200 mile break-in period. So it wasn't until I was back here in Minneapolis that I put the pedal down. And the overall experience was kind of okay. But I was going really fast. There's no denying that I was going fast. This car is quick. It wasn't until launch control that I was really like, okay, this is fun, this is cool, I get it. And it wasn't until I got comfortable with the chassis and the platform, throwing it into corners, that I was like, okay, I get it. The BMW Ultimate Driving Machine became clear. And this car is a lot of fun to drive. It's a lot of fun to push into corners. It's a lot of fun to put the pedal down. The B58 paired with the ZF 8-speed is a pretty gnarly combo. Like, it is good, and it is really good. I like it a lot. There's been absolutely no hiccups, no flaws with anything drivetrain related.
Good.
And I'm driving this car. Like, I enjoy it on a daily basis. I commute to and from work, about a 25, 30 mile commute, and I average 27 miles per gallon. Now, in the season when I'm pushing the car pretty hard, when I have it over in sport mode and sport shifting, maybe a little traction control off, we'll see. Sometimes you like to play. Anyways, when I'm in that, I'm averaging closer to 24 or 25 miles per gallon, which is still very respectable. That's for a 400 horsepower inline turbo, inline 6 turbo that can do 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds, which we proved with our Draggy. It's quite remarkable what the car can do.
Yeah,
and I have, like, one of my favorite things of the car is just the experience of being in the car. The seats, the way the seats hold you, the bolstering of the seats, the ambient lighting is just enough to make it feel special. You turn the tunes up a little bit, and it is truly a remarkable place to be. And I will tell you that having this car as a toy, I was underwhelmed, right? It wasn't until I started driving this car daily, which was in the middle of winter, that I really truly started to appreciate spending time in this car and enjoying this car. So I say that, some people will argue with me that, what are you talking about? This car is amazing. This is my toy, and this is the one that I only drive on the weekends. I get it, cool, I respect you. I'm not gonna hate on you. But maybe it's some of the experiences that I've had in other cars, some of the other cars I've owned. Having this vehicle as a toy vehicle, as a weekend cruiser, left me underwhelmed, but I will stand by it, that this still on the market is the best daily driver you can buy, as long as it fits your lifestyle, with the seating and the trunk space. And I want you to comment on the rear seat in just a minute. Okay. Because that was such a big deal when this car was released, is the shrinking rear seat. And it was in an uproar. Every single reviewer talked about the rear seat. But I will still stand by my testament. When I bought this car, this is the best daily driver with a starting MSRP of under $50,000.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I will talk about the rear seat because I had a bit of time back there. The headliner is low. I was hitting my head on bumps, but not just normally sitting, just at a slightly hunched position. Everything in the back, what's disappointing, is rock hard when it comes to armrests. Like, the armrests on the corner of the car feel like you're literally tapping on cement. Like, they are rock hard, they're red leather, but that is not comfortable.
It's not red leather, it's just the same color.
Yeah, it's the same color.
But it's plastic, hard plastic.
And yeah, I mean, it hurts to put your elbow on there when you're going over bumps, because I mean, it's just hard. And it's just a bit cramped. So yeah, they're not super usable back seats. You can get to and from 20, 30 mile trips, but I'd never do anything more than that.
Yeah, you could get 4 adults in this thing if you needed to. You just won't be going far.
According to previous reviewers, it is far less comfortable than the previous generation 2 Series. So I haven't experienced that myself, but the 2 Series is always known to have usable back seats. I would not consider those usable back seats.
I have thoroughly enjoyed just the overall experience, as I've said in this video, but the cup holders and the storage up front, there's enough storage to get your stuff in and out. Now, there's a few annoyances that came from buying the car in COVID, like the passenger side had its lumbar deleted.
What I think is really silly is it has the logo for a wireless charger, but it doesn't have a wireless charger.
Absolutely.
Because of COVID. Like, it's so silly.
Yeah, and that ticks me off too, because that's like the perfect spot to put your phone.
Oh, it's perfect. It's just silly that they at least could have gone to the effort of not putting the logo for a wireless charger where there's not a wireless charger.
Yeah, so let me talk about the issues here, and I will start by saying in 2022, the M240i started with the iDrive 7 system. It didn't even make it a full model year run before they took away the shifter. They enhanced the screen into a one screen instead of the two screens.
It's still two screens, it's just connected.
Yeah, it just looks like one screen when it's off.
Yep.
So that changed before a complete model year even finished.
Yep, that was like a mid model year refresh on year one, and in my opinion, I do believe that the iDrive 7 system looks better, but I do believe that the functionality and just overall operating system of iDrive 8 is better.
Yeah, and I actually just experienced this today, which is pretty cool. I'm stalling on those issues apparently because they're huge. They're going to be massive, so stay tuned for that. I did have my one dealership venture, and I will hit on that in just a moment. But today, I experienced the over-the-air software download, which was quite impressive with the changes it did to the car.
Yeah.
I've seen other people say they brought the car to the dealership and it got an update. Well, I experienced it over the air. I got a command as I'm pulling into work, and it said, "We need to do an update. You can't drive your car for a while. Is now a good time?" And I said, "Sure." And it said, "Engage your parking brake, walk away from your car, and we'll get the party started." So at the end of the day, I come out, and my dashboard is different. I have the M240 logo there, and the font on my gauges changes, and it just looks sportier. It looked more engaging. And then I put it in sport mode, sport shifting on the way home, and the very minimal burbling that took place from the factory has been enhanced, meaning it's still not loud. It's like, oh, that's cute, but there's a lot more of it. So with an exhaust system on it, I think you'll add to that driving experience with that software update. Another thing I noticed is under wide open throttle, that shift, there's a, like, I don't know how to make the noise, but there's a clear audible, like, one more enhancement to the experience that they throw in right at shift that didn't do that prior to the software update.
Very cool.
So pretty cool. The dyno intake is a must. I like it, not from a performance standpoint, but from an experience standpoint. It adds that fluttering of the blow-off valve, which is really cool.
Yeah.
All right, enough chit-chat here. Let's talk about issues. I've had two issues. Both issues were related to the iDrive 7 the iDrive 7 system, and these are laughable, right? And that's the point that I will wrap up the video with. My first issue is I've had on two different occasions, I put the vehicle in reverse, and it is just like a gray screen. So like the reverse camera isn't there. And this is just recently. Like if you would have asked me 800 miles ago, I would have said, the car is flawless, there are no flaws, and maybe it's fixed with that software update.
Could be.
It very well could be. My second issue is when I got back from Mexico, having my phone in Mexico, coming back to the United States, my phone would not pair to the iDrive system. I could not delete it. I could not do anything. It was just there, but I didn't have any functionality.
Weird.
So I had the experience of calling the BMW concierge, which was a great experience. They actually showed me some options, and I was like, hey, what's this do? And they talked me through it. It was a great experience talking to them. But ultimately, those are my issues with this car. We were so close to having the comment that this car has been absolutely flawless. I brought it to the shop for its free oil change with that new BMW purchase, which I think carries over to the other owner. You just essentially get 3 years of oil changes or maintenance included with the purchase, which I think they're just saying like every 11 or 12,000 miles you get an oil change.
Cool. Now before we wrap up today's video, just briefly talk about the looks and thoughts on it after 10,000 miles. In my opinion, I still love the front end. I love the interior. The side profile is killer. Absolutely love it. It's probably my favorite profile on the car. I'm still not a big fan of the back end. The taillights just don't do it for me.
Yeah, it depends on the day of the week, the angle of the car. There are times still that I see the car and I'm like, eh, and there's other times I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a few times where, like, when you're driving away from me and I'm looking at the back end of it, it just looks super short and tiny, and the way the taillights wrap, I'm just not a fan of it. It doesn't look great from the back, but the side and the front, the interior are perfect. Love them.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on our 1-year ownership review of the BMW M240i. Feel free to check out some of our previous videos where we unpack some of the features and why we bought it and kind of dig into the details of the M240i. Also, if you are just dreaming of an M240i but your pocketbook doesn't quite align with that yet, feel free to check out some of our videos and our soon-to-come videos on the 335 that Austin owns.
Yep, we'll have videos coming soon. Thank you guys, and see you next time.